Hello everyone, Johnny Miner here, and today we are continuing our Let's Learn Japanese with the series The Frog for Whom the Bell Tolls, Kaeru no Tame ni Kane wa Naru in Japanese. The English title is the official one, even though the game hasn't come out outside of Japan. Last time we first and foremost studied a lot of kanji. After that, we continued the game. We actually made good progress in the intro, even though it hasn't ended yet. So yeah, today we actually have first and foremost kanji to study. Only one we have found a new kanji in game, so we study that and a couple of related ones, but it won't take us as long for sure. But yeah, then we'll continue playing the game itself with the intro, and we'll see how far we get today. But yeah, without further ado, let's start. Well, first and foremost, I'll actually open here. Yeah, here we have the kanji that we have to study. Not the one for onai, oneji usually. Onai there in the compound. Because that we've actually studied before. Because of, I actually have it here so I can tell you. We have found it. Yeah, okay. I actually mentioned it as part of a component for that kanji we found on the box art of the Mario Advance games in general. Actually, we studied it in occasion of the Super Mario Advance, the first one. So Super Mario Bros. 2, Super Mario USA. But what we haven't seen before, and we haven't studied, so is the kanji for onai doshi there, so the one for toshi. So we'll study that. We started now by opening here Wiktionary as usual. Yeah, here I already have it ready, as you can see. As usual, we'll start with its components. First and foremost, the semantic part, which, despite the components of the contemporary form, they aren't particularly components we can separate properly technically. We'll see why. So we'll go directly with the etymology. We can actually already see them here, but yeah, we'll start with the semantic part on the top, which is this kanji. And yeah, it's in its older form, as you can see, the historical forms, straight up a pictogram, and yeah, a picture of a plant stalk. In general, I'd say I've seen some mention rice in particular, but no, in this case it's technically in general, as much as of course rice is one of the fundamental is fundamental in China and then also Japan and so on. But yeah, plant stalk. And even in its modern form, you can see also here in the historical forms, practically the kanji for tree, which we have seen with a part on top. And yeah, that's luckily the case also in our contemporary form here. I want to see actually, because it's the same. Not sure why it mentions there Japan. I think simply they specified it. In other cases, we have seen that when there might be differences between the stroke order between Japanese, Chinese, and so on. But in this case, we start here. Slightly slanted top to bottom. That's why we go from right to left instead of the usual one. It's actually a top to bottom slanted, left to right, top to bottom, and then this slanted and slanted on first to the left and then to the right as usual. We restart slanted, left to right, top to bottom, slanted on the left, slanted on the right. As shown also here with the stroke order. You can see the step by step again. But this kanji is Jinmei kanji. So technically that is for people's names as usage of in people's names. Jinmei, that's it. The Jin is the one we have already studied. It's kanji for person. Mei is the one for name. Yo, that one we have also studied. It's the kanji we have actually had to study. We studied the kanji for onaji that I mentioned because it's then a component of the one usage, utilize the yo. So funny enough, we have 2 of the 3 kanji for Jinmei already. But I'd say technically it's kanji not usually used. The readings given here are also you can see with the plugin ka and ine. Although I can already tell you that usually here then it will show it. Also there's that one. If we check out ine, accent on the first mora, which is that one is for rice plant specifically, uses usually another kanji. So just worth mentioning incidentally. Then we have this nogi, but not usually used. Wanted to show if we can. It's not used usually on its own, and well, actually, nogi, it's like that. It's technically the reading we could use for this kanji specifically, because you might, it's written, as we have seen, the slanted stroke on top is like an O in katakana. And then we have the kanji for tree. Again, as mentioned, this is straight up then on bottom. The kanji for tree, we have already studied that, so we haven't checked it out again because of that reason. So literally, no plus ki, the strictly Japanese reading of the kanji for tree, and then with the voicing because it's the second word, second part of a compound. It's of strictly Japanese origin, and those become voiced more often than not, as shown also in this case. Worth keeping in mind technically because for the I've seen it mentioned also in elsewhere that technically when you mention this the name of this radical in Japanese, you would use nogi and then hen, which is the left a radical that stays on the left part of a kanji, but we'll see that again. So technically nogi even better as one of its strictly Japanese readings, but honestly not as important. What matters more, I'd say, actually, is the Chinese reading, the one that's still used technically, ka. from qua, but that interests us relatively so in this case for now. I'd say more than on it for this kanji on its own, when we'll find it in as the phonetic part of other kanji, because then they'll have ka as their reading or something else. At least one comes to mind immediately with the reading ka, and it's because this will be the phonetic part of it. But we'll see it, we'll repeat it when we find one. So simply found usually as a radical with the meaning plant stalk. So with that, then we can continue with the other components. This phonetic part originally of the kanji we want to study was person. We see then better again, I repeat these the historical forms here after we have checked the components. Originally it was simply person. The kanji for person, which we have already studied. Reminder, we have seen Jin as one of its reading, the other one Nin, but of the Chinese readings. But actually later it evolved. They added a stroke, as mentioned there, and so actually became another kanji. But interesting enough, in this case, still works as the phonetic component, as mentioned also here. And so we'll actually check it. We'll take it as a chance to study it. But to do so, in its historical form, it had again the phonetic of it is the kanji for person. So not then not surprising that it became used instead of simply person in the kanji we want to study, considering that. But we have to check the semantic part of this kanji is this one. Funny enough, consider that its meaning is one. We're finally, after all this time, okay, we might have, okay. After all this time, we're studying the kanji for one, particularly funny. Usually it's one of the first kanji you study. Why? Because it's straight up a horizontal stroke, and that's it, indicating the number one. And of course, they actually start with the numbers. Even though, why we haven't studied these kanji yet, the ones for numbers in general, because as you have seen more often than not in practice, nowadays, as we have seen in games, but honestly, in general, you use the numerals we use also in English, the Arabic numerals instead. So they are actually seen less than other kanji, paradoxically, despite being the ones that you study first. Because this one, straight up, a horizontal stroke. A single stroke, we don't need technically the stroke order, as shown, simply left to right, the usual rule. But we have used this stroke a lot in other kanji. Here straight up as a kanji of its own, and with the meaning one, a single one stroke, number one. We can check out its readings. Well, actually, we have funny enough, we have found those actually. Because the number itself is far from not common. We have found it a lot in our previous Let's Learn Japanese with series. Don't think as much of so far this one in particular, but we have practically just started it. But yeah, we can start actually with the Chinese readings, since they're actually easier. The older one, paradoxically, they go on. Usually nowadays we use more the more recent canon ones. But yeah, for the number we use first and foremost actually ichi. On its own, accented on the last mora. Unless, as I'm pretty sure I've mentioned before when talking about this number, if you apply the rule that when followed by a pause, the vowel of a mora with an unvoiced consonant becomes barely heard if at all, and then technically you would move the accent considering that, so then it becomes ich. But honestly, you could still pronounce it ichi, and then of course, not to mention, then straight up in compounds, so yeah, it remains ichi. But yeah, technically its accent would be ichi on the last mora. Yeah, the number one. Technically other meanings, but they're all related to it. There's also this other, the canon is itsu. More often than not, technically keep it in mind. We've seen more in practice. Ichi is the one used the most. And then there are the famous contractions with the t of ichi or itsu. The i and u were actually added by Japanese because they couldn't keep the t sound on its own, the t consonant on its own, unlike Chinese, because it was actually it, I think, straight, or in the original form, straight up simply it. But yeah, so the additional i or u, Japanese introduced them. So technically we have these two variants, but yeah, in practice usually ichi, but also there is this itsu. There's also a tone, I, which is closer actually to the contemporary Chinese reading, which is straight up I. So yeah, but honestly, no, that one usually not used. Maybe in some words of Chinese origin, more recent ones, but honestly, nothing immediately comes to mind. As for its Chinese, strictly Japanese readings instead, the first, the fundamental one is hito. Yeah, no, not the hito unaccented, which means person, with the kanji of person I've mentioned. Now we can see it again. This one, hito, technically on its own, accented on the last syllable, so there's also the difference in accent. Yeah, means one, the strictly Japanese number. Also found, of course, we can then add the tsu, the general purpose counter. Hitotsu, that becomes accented on the to, stays the accent technically on the to then, but with the addition of the tsu. There are technically these other strictly Japanese readings, a shortened he, for example, or he, clearly still from hito, one simply short with the contraction, and then the one contracted the to and then becomes longer. But honestly, yeah, they are variant, not as common still. So honestly, I've shown also here they're not even mentioned in the readings here in the plugin. So yeah, honestly, ignore them. But wanted to mention them incidentally since they do exist technically. Hajime straight up not usually used, so we'll ignore completely. So yeah, fundamental readings, Ichi, Itsu as a variant, Hito, of course, then we can add the Tsu, Hitotsu, but yeah, these are the readings, and we have seen the meaning, of course. So now we can actually go back. Okay, we have to go back one more. To finally check out this kanji, which is the new phonetic in the kanji we want to study for here. This one combines so a semantic, the semantic kanji for one. One here says also signifying a number in general, and then the phonetic of person. The meaning is actually from that one better and the number, we can then see why we get the meaning of this kanji, which is 1000. Yeah, it's the sen we should have seen actually. I think we should have seen it at some point. But yeah, regardless. In its contemporary form, you can't tell exactly that there is well, the one you can technically see. Yeah, it's weird because yeah, the one becomes the middle stroke, and the rest would be the person, as shown in the historical forms. But yeah, nowadays it looks like, again, the no we have seen in katakana, we have seen for the nogi for the plant stalk, and then the kanji for 10, but yeah, we have studied that already. Let me see when we studied it, since I have it. In Kirby's Adventure, simply, yeah, because of as a component of other kanji. But yeah, let's check out the stroke order. But yeah, really easy. Yeah, pretty short. Anyway, yeah, we start again on top here with this slanted top to bottom, left to right, and then top to bottom, this one. And yeah, top to bottom slanted, left to right, top to bottom. And yeah, as mentioned, you can also see it as a no in katakana and then the 10 nowadays. But yeah, no. The origin is the left to right here in the middle was originally the stroke for the number 1. The rest is actually modified form of the kanji for person. Reminder that actually remember that the kanji for person, yeah, as it shows here, there is this form we have studied, the one found as the radical. Yeah, now you can see even better, considering that y in the modern form, it is like that. But yeah, so we have the kanji for 1000. Usually, we use the Chinese reading sen, accented on its own. The accent so can stay on the on the moral nasal, and so as to stay on the se. When we say accented, yeah, it can always stay there. Technically, there's also this the strictly Japanese number chi, found honestly usually only in certain compounds. I wonder if it. I think it shows it down here for chi. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, for example, you might have heard of chidori. Actually, accent on the first more, so chidori. Technically plover. But yeah, literally 1000 bird. now we have actually studied also the kanji for tori on its own and accented. Becomes voiced again because it's the second word part of a compound of strictly Japanese origin. More often than not, that happens to those. But yeah, literally numerals 1000, and so in general numerals birds. And yeah, pretty sure it's straight up that technique used in Naruto. Not sure if it's also kept in the English version, but yeah, I have heard it as well at the time there. So yeah, it should be still with that, but yeah, straight up the pronunciation anyway is Chidori. But yeah, so sen, the more important one, because it's the one usually used in compounds and also on its own, also when counting the numbers in general. For example, when you start any year with 1000, you would start with sen and then the rest. So yeah, quite useful. And for these ones, these lower numbers, lower, still relatively low numbers, for the number 1, you simply pronounce the 1000. Then for the other ones, you would add Nisen, the usual rule. So yeah, 2 times 1000, so yeah, 2000. That one actually straight up like in English without changes and so on. But yeah, by the way, notice the pronunciation sen, not exactly in Japanese because of some changes, but actually not also in Chinese strictly. Notice that it's still the n at the end. And yeah, it's the kanji for person is first and foremost the phonetic part jin-nin, sen. But yeah, with that, we finally have all the elements. We can at last check out the kanji we want to study today, which is the one for ear, the one we found in game. And yeah, as I was saying, because I wanted to introduce its components, phono-semantic compound as usual. The semantic part is the plant stalk. Then it says here wheat or grain. And yeah, honestly, when used as a radical, you could say usually that. More specific, then whether originally the phonetic was the person, again for the same reason as you have seen for sen, says here that the original meaning was harvest and then later came to mean ear. If that's the case, yeah, it makes sense considering that the harvest comes. Generically speaking, we could say it takes a year for the cultivation before harvesting. But yeah, so it would make sense as an evolution also of the meaning. But then we had the evolution of the kanji, of the written form. And yeah, instead of using the kanji for person as the phonetic, we used the one for 1000, we have now studied, still acted as a phonetic component, and it's actually more convenient for us in Japanese because, as we have seen, it's pronounced sen. This one, the Chinese reading, as we see, is nen, so even closer. Only changes literally now the first consonant, the initial consonant. And then from that, you can see here that this form, here especially these forms with the kanji for 1000. But then actually the form that is used nowadays so-called leap year occurred. So literally simply scribe, in this case, in this context, change. Actually, we have studied the kanji for change last time, I think. Yes, we did. So yeah, you actually should recognize, I'll show it here. Bigger, more in general would be servant, prisoner, in Japanese the li, but in this context, in Chinese it's scribe more specifically. But yeah, this is the kanji for hen. We had studied the traditional form for change. So yeah, literally scribe change. Simply means that there was this change into this form. And yeah, this one, you can see then how it becomes all more straight up simply these lines, but yeah, by adapting all that with as the original components, then we get this simplified form. And this is the one actually which is the base for the contemporary form of the kanji, which is this one. Check out the stroke order. I wait one cycle, then I'll open the other one. Actually, slanted top to bottom, left to right, top to bottom, left to right, and then last but not least, the stroke that goes through the middle again for last, top to bottom. I show it actually here because here it's actually smaller. Yeah, here it's bigger. So yeah, we have slanted top to bottom. As usual, notice again how everything goes left to right also, and top to bottom when it comes to the kanji in general, but these are the usual rules. I have slanted top to bottom, left to right, top to bottom, this small stroke here, left to right, and then the top to bottom that goes through. So yeah, this is the kanji for ear nowadays, as mentioned. And yeah, straight up also mentions that, harvest, most likely actually the original meaning, but then by extension, ear. And of course, nowadays, actually, the one for ear is the one used. Not just in Japanese, but also in Chinese and so on. This Chinese reading that we use is Nan, as mentioned. The other one is not used. So actually, funny enough, another one of the older readings, on its own, Nan, I think accent, yes, accented, so again, on the ne, can stay on the the accent, ear, on its own technically, but more than anything, counter for ears, of course, and then other things, but yeah, no. But on its own, as you have seen, the strictly Japanese reading is toshi. Accent on the last mora. Ignore the other kanji for this, but this is the one usually used for ear. By extension, then, ear, or technically ears, and then from that, by extension, age, as we have seen. But yeah, so technically there are other readings here, but honestly, usually not used. Tose as a variant, clearly as another counter for ears, but not important. Why? No, I honestly completely ignore it. This one as well. The minori most likely actually, this one related to the original meaning for harvest, but nowadays not. We use other kanji So the readings you have to keep in mind simply Nen, the Chinese reading, sorry. Again, notice convenient that as it's so similar to Sen, and Toshi, the strictly Japanese reading. So yeah, with that we have actually studied the kanji we wanted to check out. I'll actually show it here again. Yeah, we have found it here with the term onai doshi, as said. Yeah, that's why we had to check it out. Okay, with this, I'd say it makes more sense than to take our usual break right now, so that when we're back, we can start playing the game itself, and so without dividing that, again, the usual break around 2-3 minutes at most. And yeah, so see you then. And we are back. And yeah, so we can now actually start playing the game after explaining those kanji. And yeah, this time we'll actually load. And yeah, we had the whole explanation about the place, the princes last time. So yeah, this intro, we could say, actually in game, not the story intro before even the title screen, continues here. Here, yeah, Richard is speaking now. Again, those on top. Yeah, first and foremost, another laugh. Ha 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 ha. Notice also the small tsu at the end of the final ha. We have 5 of them. So yeah, for the other ones, they become simply the small tsu, the doubling of the following consonant. In that case, it's the abrupt stop mentioned before. Technically, a glottal stop that acts like that. So yeah. And then it says, Mata boku no kachi da. And yeah, first and foremost we have mata. We have, funny enough, studied not one but 2 kanji that technically can be used for this. One is the one usually used, actually. Usually, quote unquote, the one used if we were to write it in kanji. Usually nowadays it's written in kana. Usually hiragana, actually. Regardless, mata, an accent, means again, once more, once again, and so on. An accent that's mentioned. Can also be also as well. But yeah, no. Here, again, once more. Then we have boku. First person singular pronoun. I. Made to more language. Accented on the first mora. Then we have the possessive particle no. So yeah, of me, my. And then we have kachi. Kachi comes from the verb katsu. Should be accented, but I'll check again. We have seen it before. Katsu means to win. And accented. So we can, verb con verb, we can change the u into i to make the conjugative form, and so the corresponding noun, kachi, win, victory, accent on the last mora, as per the rule for these continuative forms used as nouns when accented. If they are unaccented, they stay unaccented as per the rule. There have been a couple of exceptions. I think we have found, at least we have found one, but yeah, no, usually that's the case. Last but not least, here we have da. In katakana here, unlike usual. But yeah, it's still actually the copula, the verb to be in plain speech. So yeah, here it's saying, yeah, it's again my victory. And then we have, of course, at the end there. First we had on top of the exclamation mark, as usual. The small square with the dot, the space in the middle, is the period in Japanese. Usually actually a circle, but yeah, here, because it's the Game Boy, it has a square, as we mentioned before. Okay. Then he says, Kore de Tai sensei... no, actually, Kore de Taisen seiseki wa Boku no 56 shou 0 hai dana. Okay, we have first and foremost boku again, with the possessive particles, actually mai. And then we have numeral plus counters, technically. Let me take the physical dictionary to check if we can find them there. got a physical dictionary. As usual, the accent dictionary is this one in particular is the one with the counters. I want to see if we can find the accent for this one. On its own, first actually the number. Goju Roku, as mentioned. We can check the accent also of the number itself on its own. Because we have seen that technically there can be some rules for these bigger numbers. Let me get to it. Not this one. Perfect. Roku, Goju. Reminder that we have Go on its own. Which is accented on its own actually. Combined with Ju, accented, and so again actually has to stay on the Ju because then there's the longer vowel, can stay there, the accent. And so we get Goju by combining them. The accent of that, yeah, it's one of those with which keep the accent of Ju. We have seen that other ones, like 20, Niju, the accent is on the Ni before Ju, so. But yeah, so this one, Goju. 6 on its own, Roku, accent on the last mora. So when we combine the two, yeah, like Goju is straight up the example. With Roku, okay, we straight up, we have the example, this one specifically. Yeah, in this case, the accent that's kept is the one of Roku only. So it becomes Goju Roku. Okay, wanted to check that out. And then we have Sho. Sho, we have actually mentioned it before in compounds. Is the Chinese reading of the kanji for to win. The strictly Japanese one is katsu, mentioned, the verb we have just seen. Actually, I forgot to explain the first part, so we'll come back here for the number, but yeah, at least I mentioned that in the meantime. But yeah, let's actually go in order. We have Kore, part of the Kosodo series. Ko, close to both the speaker and the listener. So far from the speaker, close to the listener. Far from both. Do, the interrogative. Koso, I usually an accent do on do itself. With re, we get the demonstrative pronoun. This or these. Without anything else, the pronoun is mentioned. Then we have the particle the, although actually I think, again, in this case, it would be, yeah, could be technically the particle the as with this. Could technically be also the te form of the copula, cioè being like this, literally, but yeah, then in English, honestly, I translate it as with this anyway. And then we have this big Chinese compound for kanji. Yeah, because it's actually a combination, as we see, of two smaller ones. First and foremost, we have Taisen. Let me recap its accent. Taisen means, in this case, there are other ones. This one is the one for fighting against, technically, facing, and so on. Unaccented, yes, like most Chinese compounds. And then we have Seiseki. Seiseki, another Chinese compound. This one also, I think, unaccented, but we check. Yeah, unaccented. This one means results. technically also record, grades, marks then. But yeah, I'd say results, the fundamental meaning, and then the other ones by extension. Becoming, since it's a bigger compound, bigger Chinese compound, we should apply the usual rule we have seen for this. The accent, I doubt I can confirm it in this case. Yeah, no, I can confirm. I doubt I find it as a straight up compound in the dictionary. So yeah, honest, the safest bet is applying the usual rule. So we would put the accent, despite being those both an accent on their own, we would put an accent on the first mora of the second word part of the compound. So in our case here on the se of seseki. E pronounced nowadays usually as long e. There is also still the variant a. But yeah, so Taisen Seiseki. So fighting results. We have the topic part called Warites Ha. Boku no, as already mentioned, Mai. Goju Roku, we've already checked that. And then we have a Sho. Yeah, as I was saying before, realizing that we actually hadn't checked out the first part. Sho, we have seen it, especially actually in the other series, current series that's in Japanese with Pokemon Fire Red. In the compound Shobu, accented on the first mora, that one, the second most common accent for Chinese compounds, like, and that's a Chinese compound. Shobu, literally victory or defeat, and then by extension, match. Yeah, the Sho, the one for victory, so yeah, the Chinese reading of the strictly Japanese one, Katsu, is already mentioned. Here used as a counter for, I want to see if I can still find it on its own for the accent of Sho. Yeah, no, I find other ones first, so it might be more difficult by looking it up like this. Yeah, no, I have to write technically the kanji. So let me do that. But yeah, here used simply as a counter for victories. Okay, Sho on its own accented. So yeah, again, U actually long O. So yeah, again the accent has to stay on the Sho. But yeah, as a counter, and I've found it here, so good thing I actually looked it up. This is actually pretty easy because it becomes always unaccented. So yeah, simply you have to remember it, but yeah, it's actually quite convenient. Isho, Nisho, Sansho, and so on. So actually here we are sure what its accent would be, despite the number being so big, and so not mentioned in the dictionary. Yeah, if all are unaccented, this one would be unaccented as well, so yeah. Goju Rokusho. Want to say though. Yeah, by the way, yeah, Rokusho without changes, without contractions. The contractions happen for Hasho, number 8, and Jusho, or Jisho, the alternative form, for 10. But yeah, not in our case. Of course, as mentioned there, yeah, the U of Ku is barely heard if at all because it's between a voice consonant, so yeah, Rokusho. In our case, Goju Rokusho. So yeah. Then we have the number 0, 0 in Japanese. The term from English, of course, and in general other European languages. But yeah, and then there's also technically the reading re, but you know, honestly, most likely 0 is the one used. We have the count high, and yeah, as already mentioned, well, actually, this one is different. Not the bu of shobu, but yeah, high is another kanji with the meaning defeat. So it's the counter then for defeats. Let me see if I can find it in the dictionary as a counter. Okay, found it. And luckily, this one as well is still unaccented. It's worth mentioning in this case which one are contracted or have other changes technically. Because yeah, we have ipai, so with the p, because originally it was p, and so it's kept when there is the contraction, so the doubling of the following consonant. Otherwise, we apply the usual rules. It evolved and became high on its own, and so on. The usual stuff we mentioned of the evolution of the p sound in Japanese. Nihai. This one, interestingly enough, for the number 3, becomes sampai. More often than not, we have seen that the number, when we have the number 3, the counter, if it can, if that can happen, becomes voiced. But yeah, the number with the hagyo, which actually I haven't mentioned, the gyo I say in hagyo, tagyo, and so on. Gyo means row in this context. Is actually the kanji of to go. And yeah, so it's another meaning. Yeah, we've seen that reading, but yeah, when used on its own gyo, yeah, can mean line of text, row, and so on. So yeah, that's why they are also used for the rows of kana. But yeah, with the ha sounds, we could say the papi pupe origin, so then ha, hi, hu, he, ho. With the number 3, they actually can become also p. Depends then on a counter, so be careful. This one becomes p instead of the usual b. Yonpai also the change there. In other cases it says yon high, so these are weirder than other combinations, other counters. So yeah, yonpai, go high, all unaccented as a reminder. We can have a contracted form for roppai. Honestly, I go for that since it's more convenient. Technically, it exists also the not contracted form, but yeah, I'd go for the contracted one. Nanahai. There's also the variant with the Chinese reading, but you know, nowadays usually you would use nana for 7. Happai or hachihai, again the contracted, not contracted. Q high, and then jupai, jipai as usual. I wanted to mention those incidentally, but yeah, here we have 0, so doesn't matter. We know for sure then that it's still unaccented, luckily, so 0 high. Da as the copula, once more. And then the final sentence particle, na. The one that causes so many doubts, because it has several usages. Can also, as its meaning on its own, we could say for exclamations or admiration and so on, still related. And then also the usages technically in Kansai dialect for the ne, and the ones of the yo also. But yeah. And yeah, so he's saying here, as for, with this, as for the fighting results, it is my 56 victories and 0 defeats. Oh wow. Yeah, as they mentioned, when it comes to fighting, Richard is way stronger for some reason. Otherwise, they are actually equal, these childhood friends. And then he says, Kimi wa itsu ni nattara boku ni kateru you ni narundai. And yeah, so we have first and foremost Kimi, the second person singular pronoun, you as in the singular. This one, as we've seen before, familiar language, sometimes considered also male language, but yeah, fundamentally familiar language, unaccented. Of course, referring to someone of equal or lower status. For someone of higher, you would use honorific language. But yeah, unaccented. Topic particle wa. Itsu, which is the interrogative pronoun for when. Accent on the first mora, so on the i. Then we have the particle ni, to, into technically, because of the following verb, nattara, naru, from naru to become, to turn into, so that's why we use the particle ni with it. Verb go and verb, so to make that a form, like here we have to follow the rules, it's in rules, so it becomes double consonant ta. Again, we change the u into i to make the continuative form nari ta, but then the i fell, narta, difficult to pronounce, double consonant ta. Ta form, so on its own, past form of the verb in plain speech. Here we also have the ra, so it's actually another form of the conditional. Conditional or also temporal, like if, when, technically in similar to if, when in English. This is the form of the condition that technically puts the focus on the action having happened before something else can happen, and that's why it's made by using the ta form of the verb. But then we have boku again. Then we have the particle ni again, but in this case it means against, technically. It's simply required by the verb, but yeah, in this usage, the verb is again, well, it's kateru from katsu once more. So yeah, then I'd say win against, yeah, needs the particle used with it. Katsu, verb and verb, so we can change the u into e and then add ru to make the potential form of the verb can win. After it we have yo, we have seen it before. A noun, technically, so to be relative close, as usual. Form, style, also way, and so on. In this case, it becomes an expression better than so that, I'd say, as the translation. And yeah, also, then after it we have the particle ni. Again required because then we have naru once more, so yeah, turn into. By the way, yo, I didn't mention on its own, technically accented. on, accented, so it has the accent on the yo as usual, as again for o u long o. But yeah, naru once more, and last but not least we have this ndai. The n is again a contraction of no, nominalized for verbs, thing as in fact. Da, technically we have da first and foremost, which would be again the copula, but here we also have the e. We have seen that when we have this da e is a form, it's technically an interrogative final sentence particle used as an interrogative one, as you can see after it we have the interrogative, the question mark. It's familiar language. As a reminder, there's also the counterpart ki. Notice that the addition of e also in that case. In that case, the origin is from ka, which is the regular interrogative particle, the standard one. Kai, is it, isn't it? With yes or no questions. Dai is marks a w question. And yeah, in our case, because of the when we have seen above itsu. So yeah, it's for that. But yeah, before it, we have also this in between. Yeah, again, actually, the no we've seen before. So yeah, here it's asking, he's asking, actually mocking us. As for you, when will it be the moment when it will become? When will the moment will come? We have to adapt it in English, or in which you will be able to defeat me, to win against me. Actually, mostly to keep it closer to the Japanese. But yeah, we have to adapt. Literally in Japanese, we have as for you, it will become when. So when it will become, and then the rest. So yeah, again, become. We have again that verb become, so that the yoni. And then the potential can win against that we have straight up can't two is not good, can't use that in English against me. But yeah, so said that, and yeah, clearly mocking us. Okay, despite now switching from top to bottom. Definitely this is our protagonist saying it. Kuso. Also with the small sudan at the end. Yeah, Kuso, the interjection, the exclamation, crap. You could also use straight up the more vulgar one, technically. Yeah, it's straight up the word for crap, and then also used as the exclamation, so yeah, same as in English. The word in Japanese is, yeah, so the accent is on the last mora. The U of ku is barely heard if at all, it's between our voice consonants as usual. But yeah, as we have seen, they don't hesitate using it in Japanese, so yeah. And yeah, because of course our protagonist, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, crap, dang it, or the actual, more vulgar form, original form. Okay, then it switches here to the middle, the dialogue. And yeah, there's someone else actually calling here, who says Ricciardo sama, first and foremost. Taihen de gozaimasu, then we actually say both. Yeah, first and foremost we have Ricciardo, the name of Richard in Japanese. Straight up Richard, but yeah, with adapted to Japanese. And then as the suffix for the person's name, sama. And yeah, sama is the honorific or respectful language. Sama technically on its own accent on the last mora, but yeah, no. Not usually here when used as a suffix for people's names. You would follow the accent of the name. But yeah. It's worth mentioning, notice the san, which is the more common one. Most certainly actually related. I don't remember if I've ever straight up found it mentioned in somewhere that san comes from sama, but yeah, this one as a contraction I would say, but yeah, san the more common one, but yeah, you can find also sama nowadays, of course, used as in honorific or respectful language, technically also here, but yeah, even more so since we are, as we mentioned, these are princes. Yeah. Of course, they would use such a suffix. Then this person says Taihen. We have studied its kanji, so already. Notice that we use the Tai reading for the first one instead of the usual Dai. Taihen, Chinese compound and accented. Literally big change, but yeah, then its use actually means great, we could say. More often than not used actually as an adverb, so greatly, very, or also terribly, awfully, and yeah, the other meaning can be then also terrible or and so serious, grave, and so on. And other extended meanings various, but yeah. And yeah, actually, I think in this case it's straight up in the sense, yeah, it's terrible, serious, or however you want to translate it. Yeah, in that case, it's actually an adjective. So yeah, we use then here the to make that the form. Actually, yeah, adjectives are used in combination with the copula, and yeah, that the form of the copula is the. In this case, though, technically it's not just the, but it would, despite being written like this, I would say it's the gozaimasu. The gozaimasu should be attached to the technically. From gozaru, we've actually mentioned it before because of certain greetings. A certain greeting in Japanese. Gozaru is technically the well, it's the honorific form. A peculiar honorific technique, this one, but we'll see it better when the time comes for it. To be technically would be to be as in to exist as is the equivalent of aru. To be as in to exist on its own with inanimate things. So objects, concepts, and so on. But it's also used here remember that there's the aru form of the copula, a more formal one, even though technically still in plain speech. And then, so we can change that, replace the aru with its honorific form, gozaru, to have this honorific form of the copula. The gozaru. Gozaru on its own, accented on the accented. Let me see if I can straight up find the gozaru also in the dictionary. Yeah, I can find it, of course. Want to see if it also shows the accent. Doesn't. Although, like other copulas, it would depend then also on the preceding word taihen. We have said it's an accent, so actually I think we might have the accent of gozaru in this case. But yeah, what's worth mentioning for sure is gozaru, uvergan verb. To make it its conjugative form, though, it's peculiar, like some other honorific verbs, because we dropped the ru at i. Originally, we actually changed the u into i as usual, gozari, but then the r fell, so only the i remained. Continuative form in this case required to then add mas, the auxiliary verb, used to make the polite form of verbs. So yeah, here it's saying, yeah, it's simply the copula then conjugated in the honorific, because again it's talking here to the prince, to Prince Richard. Okay, he's saying, calling to Richard, Prince Richard. We could adapt it in English, even though sama isn't specifically the term for prince, as we've seen. It's serious, terrible, or however you want it translated. Yeah, shows up a character, and so Richard says, Nanda, ji, so, she. First and foremost, we have Nanda. Nanda, straight up, simply comes from nani, the interrogative pronoun for what, centered on the na. And then we simply add the copula da once more. Then it gets contracted because of that, so it becomes nan for the reason. So yeah, what? Literally, what is it? But yeah, technically, what is it? Here more as in an exclamation found in the following part, technically, but yeah, still because of that. The comma then there, and yeah, it's like that in Japanese. Of course, actually curved. We have seen it as a stroke in Kanji. And then we have G. G, this one, comes from Oji-san or other forms, technically. But yeah, G technically from Oji-san, which we have seen, we should have seen it before, also thanks to the other series as mentioned. Means grandfather, honorific, respectful language, technically. So used for someone as grandfather first and foremost originally. Also used the usual usage for one's grandfather. From the honorific then it becomes more familiar technically. There's also the usage by extension for old man, cioè a grandpa. Yeah. Cioè this G is simply a contraction of that. We straight up remove all the honorifics, so yeah. Not sure if is actually Richard's grandfather. I suspect it might be simply an old man, an advisor based on what he's saying here, some kind. Oh yeah, then Richard says, so she. So she is a adjective with the meaning noisy, loud, and so on. By extension, technically also turbulent, restless, and so on. Honestly, could apply here. So she accented. Okay. So yeah, here is saying, yeah, what is it, grandpa? We don't know if actually the grandfather was simply an old man. In English, then we would adapt the noisy turbulent. What's the noise? What's this noise, or something along those lines? But yeah, you can see why. So. Okay, drink some water. Ah yeah. Then this old man, by the way, notice that from behind we have part of the top of the head bald, and then we have the hair around the white part there. Who says, so rega, ima todoita joho nano desu ga? Suspension dots, and then it's put. But yeah, first and foremost, we have the sorega. The first so is simply a repetition of the following sore because of hesitation. Yeah, like that. And yeah, sore is the demonstrative pronoun for that or those. But yeah, no, in this case, simply that, let's say. Subject particle ga, comma. Ima, we have studied its kanji thanks to this very series. Now, just now I'd say maybe better in this case, but yeah, we've seen one of the various usages of ima, strictly speaking now, and then also just now, the present time in general. Then we have todoita, from todoku, in this case, technically, first and foremost would be to reach, to get to, and then so by extension, to be delivered, to arrive. So in our case here, I'd say to arrive, intransitive, of course. Todoku accented. U verb go and verb, so to make that a form, we have to follow the rules. It's in ku, so it becomes ita. Again, we change the u into i, todoki, then continuity form to attach the ta. But then the k fell, and so the only i remained todoita. Ta form, so past form of the verb in plain speech. After it, we have a noun, so actually another relative clause. Noun, which is joho. We have seen it, not sure, don't think also in this very series. Chinese compound, which means information, news, report, and so on. Oh yeah, information is the fundamental meaning. Unaccented, yeah, Chinese compound as mentioned. Then we have nano. So yeah, actually, we have the no again thing as in fact. The na before it is required to attach the no, to a noun. as a reminder, this na, actually the one found also in with na adjectives, is actually a contraction of nari. Well, in the case of na adjectives for sure, and I think also in this case technically naru, the attributive form. But yeah, regardless, nari is actually a classical copula. So again, technically we have it is fact that it's information. But yeah, nowadays in contemporary Japanese we have to remember that yeah, we have to put this na to connect the noun to the no. Actually, might be also, by the way, to avoid confusion with the no, the possessive particle of information would be in that case. But yeah, after no, we have des, the copula in polite speech. Regular polite speech, yeah, this is the one used usually nowadays, more often than not. So yeah, da in plain speech, des in polite speech. Technical contraction of de arimasu, again from de aru. But yeah, des. Then we have last but not least the ga. Ga in this case is a conjunction, but yeah, in this case, notice that then we have the suspension dots. And yeah, this is something that happens in Japanese. We have this ga at the end with, and then because we keep, well, actually might continue after here, or might be implied that they continue, but we don't hear something along those lines. But yeah, in other cases, straight up, it's not mentioned explicitly because it can be understood implicitly, even if kept implicit, and also or because saying it out loud could be rude. So yeah, there's that usage, but yeah, here straight up might be simply to divide it. And yeah, by the way, the no des, we have seen this expression with the no plus the copula. Literally, it is that, the fact is that, the explanation is that, and yeah, quite used is in Japanese because of that. But yeah, so here is saying that's so yeah, technically it's saying yeah that and then the fact is that literally in Japanese we have it's the information that has just arrived. And yeah, can technically keep it like that in English. Could adapt it, but yeah. Okay, we also have that then. New kanji, which we'll check out, we study next time then. Yeah, here is saying, Waga kuni to yuko kankei ni aru miru fiyu okuku ga. Yeah, first and foremost, we have the new kanji. Here used with say that okay. With this reading wa ga. Wa technically is a contraction, or maybe straight up originally actually an original form, a shorter form. The kanji on its own would usually be read as ware. Ware, accent on the first mora, is technically another first-person singular pronoun, I. We'll mention that again, but it's worth mentioning that for now, that's suffixes. So yeah, wa a shorter form of it. Ga, in this case, is actually a classical a particle which indicates possession. So actually a possessive particle. And yeah, it's actually literary in modern Japanese, in contemporary Japanese. Because nowadays we use no instead, but yeah, ga can indicate that insert nowadays actually usually in certain specific compounds like this one. So yeah, wa ga actually my in this case, though, also as a contraction of the ware, technically speaking, which would be ware would mean as, well, we, first person plural pronoun, and yeah, simply ware repeated twice. Actually an accent, ware becomes, so be careful. But yeah, they don't do that. Yeah, waga can be my, our, one's own, technically, but yeah, no, my or our, strictly speaking. And yeah, here after it we have waga kuni. Yeah, the term we have seen, we have studied its kanji thanks to this series, country, kingdom, I'd say, actually, considering that we're talking about a prince here. Simply we use still the term kuni instead of the specific term we'll see in a second again for kingdom. Simply because, yeah, the country where there's a king, yeah, it's a kingdom. But yeah, so this wagakuni, the accent luckily stays the one of waga, accent on the wa. And yeah, luckily kept here, so yeah, with wagakuni, accent still on the wa. Our country, our land, one's own country. But yeah, more specific, yeah, simply actually, our country, land. Then we have the particle to. Here with the particle to with the meaning with. This one straight up with someone. Well, here actually with another country. Can also be used between nouns as a and. So yeah. One and the other, still from clearly actually the meaning with of the top particle. We have seen also the other usage of technically still with, but as the quoting particle, but not in this case. And yeah, then we have this yuko kanke. Wonder if I straight up find it in this case. Might be. Okay, yeah, found it as the bigger compound, so we can check its... okay, no, doesn't mention it, but yeah, I bet it will follow the usual rule mentioned. It's another Chinese compound of 4 kanji, so yeah, actually composed of 2 Chinese compounds, the usual smaller ones of 2 kanji each. Yuko, unaccented, means friendship. Kanke means relation. Relationship, connection, and so on. Kanke, unaccented as well. But yeah, here becomes a bigger compound, so should be the accent on the ka of kanke. Yuko kanke can confirm it for this one specifically, but we'll definitely see other similar compounds. I'd say we should found in the future ones with kanke specifically. And in those cases, we should see that they are accented on the ka. Then we have the particle ni. Technically, I'd say in at considering following verb, even though it's not as so the locative particle in at with the verbs of staying. Even though it's not an actual place in this case, will still be in to be in friendly relation. Yuko, Kanke, we have seen friendship and relation. So friendly relations, cordial relations. And actually quite used as mentioned also by the friendship with a nation, for example. Perfect for this case. But after the ni we have aru, to be assumed to exist of inanimate things as mentioned. After it we have the quotations, because there's a proper name in between them, but there's a noun. Again, relative close as usual. First and foremost we have mir filho. Mir filho is actually the Japanese adaptation of the word mir följe. They don't have exactly the sounds from found in French. So it becomes the closest thing they could do. Mir, that's pretty identical. It's the feu that becomes fi. The u for the ye. Actually still relatively close. So mir följe. Mir följe. The accent is on the fi, so on the fe, so keeps the accent of the original word. After it we have okoku, and okoku is straight up the term for kingdom, as we have seen. We have studied its kanji again, so literally king, country, kingdom, on its own an accent. But here I think we had checked it last time. Then when we add it, it should be accent on the o of okoku. Or maybe we couldn't find it, and I guess that would be the case. But let's assume that's the case. Mir filho okoku. After it, we have the subject particle ga. Here we are back to the usage of ga as a particle of contemporary Japanese. So far here it's saying the millefeuille kingdom that is in a friendly relationship, as you say, so friendship with our country. And then it continues. And actually abruptly the music stops, because actually, as this character mentioned, it's serious, terrible, or and all that. Abruptly now the music stops because it mentions what is happening of that is terrible, serious. Totsujo arawareta nazo no gundan geronyan ni osowarete. Okay, let's go in order. Totsujo is an adverb, Chinese compound, so I think still okay, no, this is one of those actually accent on the first more. Actually, I think I actually pronounce it Totsujo. So it would be Totsujo. Second most, first more, so second most common accent for Chinese compounds again. Means suddenly, unexpectedly, all of a sudden. Then we have arawareta. This we have definitely seen before. Don't think in this series, but in general. Arawareru is a verb, strictly Japanese reading, accented, which means to appear, come in sight, come out. But yeah, the fundamental meaning to appear. Ru verb is some verb, so we can drop the ru to make the conjugative form. In this case, to then attach the ta and make the ta form, past form. After it, a noun, so again, relative close. Suddenly appeared. Something that suddenly appeared. First, before the noun itself, actually, we have naso. We've seen technically a noun as well. Naso on its own means is unaccented. Riddle, puzzle, mystery, any enigma also. But also is one of those nouns that can take the possessive particle no to make in practice an adjective, so then enigmatic, mysterious. Mysterious. Gundan. The term, we might have seen it in Star Fox. If we haven't, we have seen for sure at the very least Gun in other compounds, which means army, the kanji. Here with Dan, that we have seen it also in Pokemon Fire Red, group, and so on. Corp, the one written, corpse, but written like that, but yeah, core, the pronunciation. In this case, so literally from army, we have army corp, or then we could simply say corp. Chinese compounds, so actually unaccented as usual for those. After it, we have between quotes the name of this mysterious army corps, which is Geronian. What we can mention here straight up is the nyan is simply a suffix added to it, but the part that interests us here for the meaning is gero, which comes from gero gero. I think we might have seen straight up also that, or at the very least, kero kero, onomatopoeias. Can't find the accent for kero kero, funny enough, but the one for gero gero, it's accent on the first mora as usual for these onomatopoeias with the repeated twice. Can also have them. I think we have seen. We have checked it out before because I remember mentioning incidentally that another meaning for this gero gero is throwing up. But more often than not, especially as we see in this context, is simply the croaking of a frog, ribbit, ribbit. As usual, that there's the distinction that I mentioned also kero kero, from which actually comes Keroro. You might know that manga. I think it should be actually a manga also. Anime for sure. It was. I've straight up seen it, at least in part. But as usual, these onomatopoeias, when we have a variant unvoiced and one voiced, the unvoiced one is technically smaller in intensity. The voiced one is bigger in intensity, louder. So yeah, we have that. But yeah, here, so we know that these army corps are related already with that Gero, with two frogs are straight up frogs, we'll see. And then we have that Nyan, yeah, like other, like I don't remember if it's also in English. Yeah, it should be actually. For example, it comes to mind the term. I don't remember the pronunciation though there in English. Macedonian. And yeah, so would be a suffix nian, like in that sense. But yeah, here made up term. So yeah, combining those two. Then we have the particle ni. In this case, by. Because of the following verb, we see why in a sec. And yeah, the following verb is also warete. So yeah, also means to attack, to assail, to make an assault, to strike, and so on. Then extended meanings by these are the fundamental ones. To attack, we could say. The fundamental one, but yeah, in those sense, to assail and so on. An accent actually, so yeah, also U verb, colon verb, so we can change the U into A. Becomes in this case wa because as a reminder, verbs, U verb, colon verbs straight up ending in U as the final mora were actually originally in pu. And so we have all the changes of those. Here it's between a voice, not at the start of a word of, so it becomes, the P became W, wa, papi, pupe, po became wa, we, U, that it's simplified, we, wo, and then with the further evolution of the language, only wa remained, so yeah, wa, I, U, e, o. But yeah, this is why the U of U verbs, colon verbs in U becomes wa. Yes, then we apply the usual rule, change the U into A, and then add re-ru, we can see the ru because of further conjugation, to make the passive form of the verb. So yeah, attacked, be attacked by, yeah, the particle ni in this case is used for the agent of with passive verbs. So yeah, that's why. And yeah, passive verbs are ru verbs, it's verbs, so we can drop the ru to make the conjugative form. In this case, simply attach the te, make that the form. Here I'd say simply notice the comma, then, yeah, in its usual meaning on its own, to the action of the verb in te and the rest of the sentence. Or by doing the action of the verb in te, while doing, and so on. But yeah, so far it's saying that yeah. We have mentioned, yeah, the Millefeuille kingdom was attacked by Geronian, the mysterious army that appeared suddenly. And yeah, after that stop of the music for dramatic effect, and because it was serious, yeah, we start with this kind of music, unsurprisingly, because yeah, it's serious. Yeah, we're talking about the friend, the kingdom that was this one's friend in a friendly relationship with this one got attacked. And yeah, here is saying so. Senryo sarete shimatta toyu koto desu. And yeah, first and foremost we have Senryo. Other Senryo is a Chinese compound, unaccented like those usually are, yes. Means occupying. And yeah, of course, occupying in our case here, military occupation, more specifically, but yeah, occupying is the fundamental meaning in general. A noun, but we can turn it into a verb by adding suru, the verb which means to do. So yeah, to do an occupation, so yeah, then to occupy. Suru, completely irregular, so we have to remember that we have to replace it with sareru. As mentioned before, technically we could see it also as dropping the ru of suru, change the u into a, and then add reru. Yeah, you might have noticed by explaining it this way that yeah, it's the passive form of suru. But yeah, the difference there with dropping the ru and so on, yeah, it's because of suru is completely irregular, so that's why. But then, yeah, so the passive form of that as well. Again, we drop the ru, contractive form to then attach the te once more. In this case, though, the te required because then we had shimatta from shimau, unaccented, on its own to end to finish. After that, the form of a verb, an auxiliary with the meaning to finish, as in do completely, or more often, to end up, doing the action of the verb in te, to do accidentally that. Shimau, u verb, going verb, inu, so it becomes a double consonant theta form. Again, as already mentioned, yeah, it's ends in u as the more, so actually it was originally in pu. So we changed the u into i, shimapi ta, but then the effect shimapta, difficult to pronounce, double consonant ta. After it we have to. Yeah, here in this case actually the quoting particle. After it we have the verb you. We have studied its kanji already, also pronounced you. Yeah, usually written you regardless. To say. The fundamental verb used with quotation, then with the quoting particle before it, and before that the quotation. After it we have koto, so technically speaking we have again a verb in attributive position. We could say a relative clause, if include also the whole quotation. But yeah, regardless, the koto means thing as in matter, yeah, the other on nominalize for verbs. Last but not least, we have the copula des. So here it's saying, yeah, the thing, the fact is, that, yeah, then in literally in Japanese we have before it, it is said, we could say, yeah, we have to adapt it in English anyway, but yeah, because I think it's, because technically is It's what is reported, we could say. But yeah, regardless, yeah. The fact is that all that happened and so ended up being occupied. And by the way, yeah, I translated it with past form, and yeah, we had the enter, the ta of shimatta, so yeah, past form of the verb in plain speech. So yeah, the past should have been applied also to the previous parts, the previous verbs with the form. But yeah, so says this. Okay, we'll start at the very least this, so we can hear this. And yeah, notice that our protagonist got up. Yeah, pretty sure he's the one talking here. Says Nani. Yeah, the usual exclamation. Yeah, what? I found you might have heard it also in anime and straight up also memes based on those. Notice also the small tsu, and so the abrupt end got a stop. Then it says Milfiyu o koku to ieba. Again, Milfiyu, kingdom, between quotes, because it's the given name. To, the quoting particle, again, ieba, from you once more. Although in this case, you, verb come verb, so we can change the u into e. And then to add ba, and so make actually another form of the conditional, if when can be also have a temporal meaning. This is the more generic one, I would say. But yeah, this expression, to ye ba, speaking of when it comes to, we can also say in English, yeah, literally it is in Japanese if one, we could say, says of, says that, and then before it the quotation. Well, actually better in this case, yeah. When it comes to, and in our case here, the Milfeuille kingdom. But yeah, so literally speaking, yeah, well, the usual quotation to you. Also, to you used for to define things. So something said, called, whatever comes before it. Yeah, in this case with the yeba, so yeah, we got this expression speaking of when it comes to. Yeah, then our protagonist says this. Zesse no bijo to uasa no takai. Okay. Okay, first and foremost, yeah, in quotations we have the zesse. Funny enough, actually, straight up an expression that I found in the dictionary, this one. But yeah, zesse on its own, Chinese compound, an accent like most of those. It means peerless, matchless. And yeah, the se that's used is the one for word. The se before it actually is zetsu usually. The one found also in zetai and so on. Yeah, so in this case, without match, peerless. Peerless, unparalleled in the world technically. But yeah, so the meaning is still in general is actually peerless, matchless of this unrivaled. Possessive particle no, yeah, it's a noun that can take the possessive particle to make in practice an adjective, so yeah, peerless, matchless, something. The something is bijo. a Chinese compound, accent on the first mora, this one. Literally beautiful woman. A peerless, matchless, unrivaled, beautiful woman. Between the quoting particles here. To, again, the quoting particle. After it, we have uwasa. Uwasa means rumor. Rumor, hearsay, and so. But yeah, better technically is more specifically rumor. Unaccented uwasa. Then we have no after it. I kind of suspect it might be actually the subject particle used here technically because you could consider this, despite the upcoming adjective, the structure is similar to the relative clauses, and yeah, there the subject particle ga can be replaced with no. So it could be that Takai, regardless, is the adjective which means high. Can also be by extension high priced, so expensive, but yeah, no. Here I think simply high in general. So I think it's saying here so far, yeah, that highly rumored, we could then adapt it in English with a lot of rumors, then either way we would have to adapt it in one way or the other. Maybe the first one was better to keep the high at least. Of the peerless, beautiful woman. And we have the comma. Okay, and we also have this then. Oh boy, we have a lot of kanji to check next time, but yeah. A good thing I actually continued here. But yeah, here let's end with this one, I'd say. To at least finish this sentence. Yeah, it says tiramisu hime ga osamete orareru hewa na shimaguni. Should be that. But yeah. First and foremost, yeah, we have tiramisu. Yeah. We continue with the food. Also, we could straight up say, more specifically, straight up sweets theme of this game. And yeah, tiramisu, yeah, from Italian. The accent in Japanese, though, is on the T, so be careful. Tiramisu. Tiramisu. On the high, everything else low. After it, we have hime, and yeah, we've seen it also in the Let's Learn Japanese with the series, I think. We should have seen also there Peachy, hime, at the very least, Princess Peach. Also in Tomodachi Life. Yeah, this is hime, an accent on the first mora on its own. Original young lady of noble birth, and then by extension, yeah, the princess, the Western typical Western princess. But yeah, so used also as a suffix here for after the name of a princess. Yeah, we have it here between quotations again to focus on it. Then we have the subject particle ga. Then we have osamete, first and foremost, from osameru. This one is the one with, there's another one with a different kanji, but let's ignore it for now. This one accented, osameru, means to rule, to to govern, to reign over, and so on. Ru verb is some verb, so we can drop the ru, make continuative form to attach the ted and make that the form of the verb. In this case, required because then we had orareru from oru. In standard Japanese, the humble form of iru, an accented iru, oru accented, both mean to be, as in to exist, of animate things on their own, so people and animals. After that, the form of verbs become auxiliaries with the meaning continuing action or continuing state. And then here, oru, u verb and verb, so we can change the u into a and then add reru again to make the passive form of the verb. So in this case, yeah, to be ruled, governed, and so on. Because after it, unsurprisingly, we have, well, first, we will have a noun, so relative clause once more. But before that, we have hewa. Hewa means peaceful, an adjective. As you can be seen here, we have the na straight up, because it also modifies like the relative clause before it, the following noun. Hewa, Chinese compound, luckily an accent as usual. Hello, Charlie7. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it actually is quite useful so far for the Japanese, and also, as we have seen, there are some kanji, not too many, but there are several we haven't studied yet. So it's good for that. And also, I wanted to check it out. An exclusive game that hasn't come out outside of Japan, and also required, as we see it, some characters from it will be back in future games, but yeah, we'll see that when the time comes. Well, actually, Richard, you might already have recognized him if you have played a certain other Game Boy game. I won't say more for now. But yeah, as I was saying, hewa, peace, well, actually, first and foremost, a noun, peace, harmony, and then also an adjective, so peaceful. And yeah, after that, we have finally the noun. Shimaguni should be, yeah, with the voicing of kuni, because it's a compound. Yeah, shima means island on its own, accent on the last mora. Kuni, we have already seen it. Here voice, because it's the second word part of the compound of strictly Japanese origin. On its own, an accent kuni, literally island country. The accent luckily stays on the ma of shima. I'd say might be also because it's the last mora of the first word part of the compound. But yeah. So yeah, he's saying here that, yeah, yeah, the peerless beauty, beautiful woman, Princess Tiramisu, as we can see here. Yeah, here actually is saying, yeah, that island country, the peaceful island country that is ruled, governed, and so on, however you want to translate it, by, then we have to adapt it in English. Princess Tiramisu. Although it's worth mentioning that considering the structure here with the Japanese, notice that the tiramisu hime has the subject particle. The passive, another usage of the passive in Japanese is used as one of the forms to make the honorific forms of verbs. So while in translation it worked well, be ruled by, and so on, I think it might be actually the honorific in this case. So yeah, the peaceful island country that Princess Tiramisu rules. But yeah, regardless, we have translated it. And yeah, with this now, I'd say it's better if we stop here. We have finally finished this sentence. So yeah, I'll save our progress so far here with a save state. And yeah, then it continues. So yeah, no, we'll check it out another next time. You can close the game. And yeah, so today we continued Kaeru no Tame ni Kane wa Naru. And by the way, yeah, we didn't mention yet the frog in chat. We got to see a frog also mentioned with Geronian before in this part here. But yeah, first we studied some more kanji. We didn't have many, so luckily that was relatively fast. And then we continued the game. Yeah, we're still technically in this intro, but yeah, makes sense since here they're all talking about this, and we also are playing less because of the kanji we have to study. But yeah, so next time we have first and foremost more kanji to study. Yeah, quickly show talking about them. Yeah, we found 1, 2, 3, 4, I'd say, and yeah, of course, then we'll have also their components, so it will actually be another bigger part of those. But yeah, we have to check them out anyway at some point. So yeah, makes sense to do so. But yeah, we'll do that first and foremost, and then we'll continue the game. Yeah, we should be able to make further progress in this intro. Not sure if also even finish it, because I straight up don't know. It's the first time I'm playing this game myself, so yeah, I'm playing it blind. I know some things about it, but yeah, not straight up details like when this intro will end. But yeah, of course, this will play, we'll go back to the usual schedule unless something happens, so this one will continue on Wednesday. In between, we'll have a stream mostly just for fun on Sunday, unless something happens. I'm thinking some more Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream, to play it at the very least once already this month. On Monday, Pokemon Fire Red, the other Let's Learn Japanese with series, which is Pokemon Fire Red. And yeah, so those are our plans actually. We are going back to usual after this week where we had these changes due to the Fire Emblem Fortune's Wheel Direct. And yeah, see you next time.